Hello and welcome to Monday's Coffee Chat. My name is Burgess Taylor from Journey with Burgess, and we're going to talk about refilling the well today. So grab you a cuppa and let's get started. Four of the red flags of burnout. One of the first red flags would be frustration, anger, anxiety, irritability. When your stress levels get really high and you feel, The second one would be when you can't find like that happy medium, when you can't find a balance. Now, I'm not talking about like there's people want to go, oh, finding balance. And I was one of those people, you want this perfect balance. Well, a perfect balance is unrealistic. But there are ways to find a happy medium with everything or with things. I'm still working on some of that, but I know when things get really out of whack with balance, when I feel really unbalanced, that's a red flag. Or when you feel shut down, when you tune out, when you shut off, when you withdraw, it's another red flag. And the big daddy of them all, the real big red flag, is when you feel utterly exhausted, tired, uninspired, when you don't feel any excitement or enthusiasm or passion towards those things that normally bring you the most joy. That was me over the weekend. And I made some mistakes. I tuned out. I withdrew. I got on the couch and in the recliner, one or the other, and cocooned myself with a blanket and some Netflix and some Hulu. And why? It started with receiving paperwork from probate court. For those of you who don't know, my dad died in October, and we had to pull the respirator. My mom collapsed. My mom was in the hospital for over a week, and my mom is doing much better. But my mom has eye disease, and my mom cannot read. She can take a magnifying glass and she can see some things, but to actually get a magnifying glass and to read a bunch of paperwork would have been really straining on her eyes and hard for her to do. So I was appointed the paperwork person. Well, getting that paperwork in the mail Friday, I was good up until I opened that Friday evening. Saturday I struggled because I glanced at it Friday night and I was like, you know what, I'll look at this tomorrow. It's late. I have stuff to do. So Friday night I got work done. Saturday morning I got work done. Saturday afternoon I started going through the paperwork. Mistake. I should have waited until maybe this afternoon to do it, or waited until Sunday afternoon to do it. But I did. I went through it, and it threw me. There are still days where I pick up the phone, I forget, and I pick up the phone to call my dad. So getting that probate court paperwork and reading over it, and it was so final. Again, it reiterated the finality of my dad being dead. And I have friends who are going through this or have just gone through this. I'm at an age now, I'm 50, where some of the people who are around my age are losing parents, or some of the people my age are actually dying. I had a friend last month that I went to high school with die of an aneurysm. So instead of taking a long walk, taking a hot shower, doing a lot of the things that I recommend and I know work, I tuned out. I withdrew. I didn't get my plan with me done. I didn't get some of the other things I wanted to get done. I dropped the ball. Now, I'm not beating myself up over that. I did enough yesterday um, that I don't need to now. It's a fresh week. It's a new day. I got up this morning. I made coffee. I washed my face. I brushed my teeth. I did my stretches. I did some morning pages. Not nearly as much as I wanted to, but I just needed to do a little bit. I didn't want to wallow in the negative feelings, so I jotted down about a paragraph, just enough to kind of vent some, and then that was it. You know, it was time to go towards something more positive. I found a quote that said, "The purpose of art is washing the dust of daily life off our souls." If I replaced daily life with any number of words, that quote could apply to all kinds of things in my life, because daily art, depending on art, depending on the kind of art we're talking, is therapeutic for me. And it really depends on the mood as to what kind of art I use, whether it's reading or writing or drawing and painting. It could be any number of things. It could be DIY project. So I didn't do very much journaling at all. I didn't do anything Friday, Saturday, or Sunday in my daily journal. But one of the things I did do, I had all this scrap. I did spend a small portion of the time that I was feeling all withdrawn from social media, withdrawn from everything. I tuned out. I watched Hulu and Netflix. I watched Mind Candy. I did cover my Stology notebook to try to get myself motivated to get into. I did do my planning. And I'm going to film the plan with me. I didn't do very much in here. I actually managed to get the newsletter stuff done because I did that before I went through and read the probate court paperwork and got all. Grief isn't like pushing a button that starts it and then you go and you push the button to stop it. It doesn't have like a straight line. Grief waxes and wanes. It's like the tide. It ebbs and flows. And some days you're good, and then other days you're not very good at all. And I would normally have beaten myself up over not fulfilling the obligations I had for the plan with me, or the videos I should have made, the pictures I needed to take. But you know, sometimes you need to refill your creative well. Sometimes you need to refill your spiritual well. And sometimes those two are the same, and sometimes they're different. Over the weekend, Saturday afternoon and all until last night, I needed to refill my spiritual well. My body, mind, soul was all out of whack. My balance. And there are a number of things that I could have done which would have been much healthier for me to do than to tune out and withdraw and cocoon myself with a blanket on the couch or in the recliner with Hulu and Netflix. I could have read. I could have wrote. I tried to do a little bit of, and it wasn't working. I could have done art, but it wasn't working. So I tuned out. I withdrew. And I cocooned myself. And, you know, when it was all said and done last night, I went to sleep and I woke up this morning and I felt better because I took that time. I have a book called The Art of Doing Nothing. And sometimes you need to do nothing. I think your nothing can depend on what it is you need. Sometimes we need to do nothing. Sometimes that nothing can be to take a walk and put aside our obligations and just go take a walk and clear our minds. I do apologize for not having a video Sunday on YouTube, and I apologize for not having the plan with me over the weekend for Patreon. And I was supposed to also do something else on Patreon that I didn't get to this week. And I was hoping to have the newsletter done by this weekend that just passed. But I'm getting things done, and I'm working out things. And I could have taken a few weeks off right after my dad died. My mom was in the hospital and got out of the hospital. But I know that this is going to be an on again, off again. I need some time to heal, because the grieving process doesn't work, like I said, like pressing a button. I really wish that it did. I really wish I could put my grief in like you do with a dishwasher. You load the dishes in, you close it, you pull the little thing, and you press the button, and then after a certain amount of period of time, it's done. Your dishes are clean. Well, if I could do that with a grief washer, it'd be cool. Load my grief, close it, press the button, and be done. But it doesn't work that way. So I keep going through different periods of grief at different times, and it's hard. It's rough. It's frustrating. It fills me with stress and dread and sadness and melancholy and anger and frustration, but at the same time, there's this part of me that remembers all the joy, all the good stuff. My dad made it a point to let all of us know that he had a good life, that he had lived a good life, and he didn't regret any of it. He had lived a good life. And then there's this other part of me that knows that my dad is no longer suffering, because my dad went from being a 6'1", 240 or 50 pound, robust, hardy man to weighing all of probably 130 or 40 pounds. And he was in extreme pain, and my dad was not really a complainer. My dad was in a lot more pain than any of us knew. So there's that part of me that knows that my dad is no longer in pain. And what snapped me out of that this morning was when I woke up and I thought, okay, it's a new day. Let's get this stuff going. My mom, I feel, what is my mom going through? I'm actually glad that I'm doing this paperwork, even though it's hard for me that my mom does not have to do all this. So I am ready to get back to work. I have a lot of stuff to do today, and I'm sorry this is not a wonderful coffee chat, but I realized when I was looking at the red flags, because I'm going to write a blog post about that there are things that you can do, and normally I know better. One of the videos for the newsletter is about some of this, so I don't want to repeat myself. But I knew the red flags. I knew them. They were all right there in front of me over the weekend. But instead of beating myself up over the fact that I didn't do any of the healthier things that I could have done, instead I patted myself on the back for doing what I needed to do, because I think really it all depends on what you need to do to refill your well. Because sometimes what we need to do to refill our well for creativity is not the same as when we need to refill our well for our person, ourself. So normally taking a walk, taking a shower, getting out of the house, getting outdoors in nature, going somewhere, changing the scenery, doing something different that's a positive thing usually makes me feel a lot better, and it gets me back where I need to be. But this weekend it was different, and that's okay, because sometimes different's what we need. So thank you for watching. I will see you again soon. If you want to, please in the comments let me know how you de-stress, how you refill your self, your well for self, for spirit, soul. How we refill our creative wells is often sometimes different than how we refill the well for ourself. So thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Make sure you give me a thumbs up, and I will see you again soon. Bye, y'all.